Many thanks, Vas. I'm very grateful to Vas Chanoy and his team for organizing this symposium, conference, seminar, whatever we may call it. And Maria Casadei, who will be speaking on a very interesting topic, that is Dakhni Urdu, which is somehow very much neglected nowadays. But Dakhni Urdu is the original Urdu, the basic Urdu, because it is said to have less Perso-Arabic words, less Arabo-Islamic expressions in its originally. Because where was Urdu born, nobody knows. There are many theories. Some say it was born in northern India, some say it was born in Punjab, and then moved to Deccan. And anyway, we are not discussing on the origin of Urdu and how it came to be a national language in Pakistan. But Urdu is a very important language, I would like to say, because it is spoken by almost something like 400 million people. It is not the mother tongue of 400 million people, but it is spoken and understood by those many people. Because Pakistan's population is estimated at around 230 million people. And Urdu is the mother tongue, Urdu is the national language of Pakistan, although it is spoken by only 7.8% of the Pakistani. I mean, it is the mother tongue of 7.8% of Pakistan's population. And it is an outside language. Until 1970s, it was called Panahgiron ki Zaban, language of immigrants, because it was brought by immigrants. So it was not the language of neither when there was East Pakistan and West Pakistan. East Pakistan is now Bangladesh. So because North Indian salariate class were active in the creation of Pakistan, and they claim that we have created Pakistan, not Pakistanis. We have demanded for Pakistan, we have created Pakistan. So when they came, when the country was created, they came from India and they started ruling it, and they brought their language. And their theory was that Pakistan can, Urdu and Islam can survive without Pakistan, but Pakistan cannot survive without Urdu and Islam. And to somehow they are, I mean, they were right, because Pakistan is a multi-lingual country with Punjabi spoken by 38.78% of the population, Pashto 18.24% of the population, Sindhi 14.57%, Saraiki and Baluchi. So, and all these languages have their original territories. I mean, Baluchi is spoken in Balochistan, Punjabi is in Punjab, Sindhi and Sindh, Pashto is in, it was then called Northwest Frontier Province, but now it is renamed as Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. And Urdu didn't have any ethnic group in Pakistan, any territory in Pakistan. And they said that if we take Punjabi, for example, then it was the question of whether Bengali or Punjabi or Urdu. Then every ethno-linguistic group in Pakistan would try to impose his language or her language. Anyway, and Urdu, it's a long history. I don't want to go into the details of this conflict. But what I want to say that Urdu is the lingua franca, is the official language, is the language of documentation, it is the language of mass media, is the street language, market language. So Urdu is the first language of Pakistan, while other languages are called regional languages, with very little approach to the mass media, to the newspapers. For example, when I was in the university long time ago, I used to read news on the television, national television and radio. but in Baluchi. And they said this is a regional language, and we were paid something like 20% the amount that was paid for Urdu. So Urdu is the national language and is very important. Dakhni is the birthplace of Urdu literature. Many famous names of poets and writers from Deccan promoted Urdu. And now would love to hear from Maria how the media is revitalizing Dakhni, and whether she has studied the farm of Dakhni, whether it is changing or it has kept its original form and shape. So the mic is to you, Maria, please.
Thank you very much, Professor, for this kind introduction. Let me share my screen. We can start. You can see my screen, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. So, yes, first of all, thank you, Professor, for this introduction. Thank you, the University of Naples Orientale, and also Saxi Association in the Indian Embassy for organizing this event. So today I will present my project. I'm at the beginning, just started, so I will introduce the topic, explain my key questions and hypotheses, and also will briefly speak about the theoretical framework that will constitute my research. I will also give you an idea of the context of the project and also how I plan to organize it. As I said, I'm really at the earliest stage of the research, so please, if you have any comments, doubts, remarks, feel free to interrupt me and or raise your hand after the talk. So let me start. So my thesis will focus on the role of the internet in the resurgence of the linguistic heritage of the Deccan, as the Deccan area refers to really huge, is a really huge geographical area that encompasses many Indian states. I decided to focus my research on the state of Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, simply because a few years ago I started learning Telugu language. So I will focus on Dakhni Urdu as is spoken in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, and with a particular emphasis on the variant of Dakhni Urdu as it's spoken in Hyderabad, so the current capital of both Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. Here are my quick key questions. I will investigate the current role and perception of Telugu, Urdu, and Dakhni language in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. And I will look, I will observe if and how digital tools and resources enable the preservation and the promotion of Dakhni culture, language, and literature, and how Hyderabadi Urdu is preserved and expressed online today through overall poetic performances called Mushairas, and stand-up comedies and Dakhni film industry. And finally, I will also look at the role of local associations and organizations strengthening social identity and collective memory of Deccan. So let's see briefly the context of my research. So last year, I was interested in the presence of Indian languages online, and I was somehow lucky because I was introduced to this topic by the specialist Daniel Pimenta, who is responsible of the Observatory of Linguistic and Cultural Diversity in the Internet, and he's measuring the space of languages online. So I think this is a very relevant, important topic as India is going through a massive digitalization process, and has to deal with both multilingualism and multilingualism. So this study of the relationship between language and internet started with David Crystal in 1998. Basically, he claimed that internet accelerates the spread of English and other big languages at the expense of local and indigenous language, resulting in an overall reduction of in global linguistic diversity. On the other hand, we have other scholars such as Bozard-Welcher that in 2001 published an article in the Green Book of Language Revitalization in Practice. And she showed how internet is an effective medium for the revitalization and preservation of endangered languages, such as indigenous and minority languages. So I would say that even though at the beginning, the relationship between language and internet was negative, now, with the time, positive attitude arose towards internet and the idea that languages can be preserved online. So UNESCO has been supporting several initiatives and projects to measure linguistic diversity in internet for almost a decade. In 2005, they published the first report, followed by the second report in 2009. In this report, they explained the project, which consisted in the studying and determining the web presence percentage of languages compared to English from 1996 to 2008. So they explained the project and also the methodology they used. The search engines was also discussed, and also the main results per country. We have, of course, as I said, other scholars that claim that media could play a fundamental role in revitalizing the language by giving status, linking, and unifying segments of a language community, and also provide a context for economic development. Since my research, in my research, I will also observe personal website and blogs. I'm also interested in the notion of self and social identity online. Susan Herring and Mia Löfmalm, she's working in Stockholm in Uppsala University basically on digital religion, but she's also very interested in this notion of self and social identity online. And she's working on computer-mediated communication. And she claimed that this computer-mediated communication transcends geographical boundaries, and physical and social cues are reduced. So this new self and social identity is defined by national, ethnic, religious, and also other boundaries. So on the one hand, internet intensifies identity performances, offering enhanced autonomy to describe beliefs and ideology and to connect people with same interests. On the other hand, we have the creation of other avatars, the circulation of descriptive pictures that contribute to the misrepresentation of identity. There is some scholars are also looking at the notion of self-identity in the, for writers, blog who are blogs are engaged in blogging activities, let's say. And they are looking at the motivation factors that lead writers to start blogging. So they identified 5 main reasons. The first one is they want to maintain online personal journals. The second one is that they want to convey and convince others about one's opinion. And they want to develop one's thinking process for blogging. And the last reason that I'm really interested in is that they want to build an online community. Just to end, and we will move to the following part, I want to mention this term, the collective memory, and also the relationship between collective memory and media. So this notion, this term collective memory, was coined by Maurice Albach, who wrote his first book on collective memory, and who work on the social construction of individual and collective memories. Collective memory and media, I mean, how media really shape individual, collective memory and cultural memory, is something that is still unexplored today. So for those who are not familiar with India, with its regions, states, languages. So as I said before, I will investigate the current role and perception of Telugu Urdu and Dakhni Urdu in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, which are located in southern India, and you can see them in the map. I will focus on Telugu. As you may know, in India there are 4 language families, and Telugu belongs to the Dravidian family, spoken in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, and is spoken by 82 million speakers. L1, 11 million. L1 means mother tongue. Then we have Urdu, which is an Indo-Aryan language spoken in Hindi belt, Deccan, so South India, and Pakistan, and of course, is the official national language, and is spoken by 15 million speakers, according to the census of 2011 in India and 2018 in Pakistan. So Andhra Pradesh has a population of 54 million, and official language Telugu. It's divided in 3 main regions: coastal Andhra, Uttarandhra, and Rayalaseema. And the state was created in 1953 and was merged with Telangana in 1956. And what I want to say here is really recently, in March 2022, Urdu has become the second official language together with Telugu. And I also want to say that the capital, Hyderabad, is the common capital of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, because when Telangana got independence in 2014, Andhra Pradesh did not have its own capital. So basically, they decided to keep Hyderabad as the common capital until 2024. And Andhra Pradesh government is building Amaravati, but this question about the capital of Andhra Pradesh is still uncertain, because the current government and Mohan Reddy is proposed a 3 capitals model. So he proposed Visakhapatnam as the executive capital, Amaravati as the legislative capital, and Kurnool as the judicial capital. Then we have Telangana, and also in Telangana, as I said before, Telangana got independence in 2014, and from in 2017, Urdu has become the official language. So also Telangana is presented as a bilingual state, and where we have the equal recognition of Telugu and Urdu language. I wanted to mention here that even though Telangana started seeking for independence in 1966, the majority of Telangani people from Telangana were in favor of creating Andhra Pradesh. And then in the following years, intellectuals, but also technology, communication technology, had a really important role in the creation of Telangana identity. So at the beginning, the desire of Andhra Pradesh government was to keep all Telugu people together, united by appealing to their common culture, common linguistic and cultural heritage. Then in opposition to Telugu Talli, Telangana Talli emerged. So that was constructed on facts and myths and romanticizing the history of the kingdoms and kings that ruled the Telangana region, such as Kakatiya or Qutub Shahi. So there is a kind of double tension between Andhra Pradeshis and Telanganis, but also within the same Telangana. We have this not conflict, but between Hyderabadis and Telanganis, because the variety of Telugu spoken in Hyderabad is somehow perceived as inferior to the higher prestige variety of Telugu that is spoken in Andhra Pradesh. And this variety of Telugu is called Turak Telugu. So Turak is the Telugu word for Muslim. So now we won't have the time to speak about the fascinating story of Hyderabad, but I just wanted to tell you that Hyderabad city was founded by Muhammad Quli Qutub Shah in 1591. At that time, the Golconda was too small and the growing population was demanding for a new city. So historians also pointed out that before becoming Hyderabad, the place was populated by small villages. And where, for example, now stands the Charminar, there was a village named Chichilam. Also behind the foundation of Hyderabad, there is a legend, a love story, because Muhammad Quli Qutub Shah married a Hindu woman, Bagmati, and so the city was named after her, Bhagyanagar. But after the marriage, her name changed into Hyder Mahal, and so the city was called Hyderabad. What I want to mention here, and please remind that when we will be talking about the Dakhni film industry, is that Hyderabad went through a period, a phase of transformation, complete renovation in the 90s. So Hyderabad became the Hyderabad Information Technology Engineer Consultancy. And we will see later, we will, because this will be a theme that we found in the in Dakhni movies. Now I just want to spend a few minutes to dispel this notion of Urdu and Islamic language that, of course, I often encounter while studying Dakhni Urdu and especially Hyderabadi Urdu. So there are two studies I want to mention. So one study is from Rahman and the other one is Abbi Hasnai Kidbari in 2004. They both trying to demonstrate that Urdu is not only the language of Muslims. And according to Rahman, this association was forged during the British colonial rule. And later on, Urdu has been also used politically as a part of the Islamic and Pakistani nationalist identity, as opposed to secular and westernized. So, of course, the question here is very complex, but why it's multidimensional? Because in India, for Indian Muslim community, Urdu is part of their collective identity. And while in Pakistan, is the Urdu the symbol of the domination of the center over the provinces, if we think about Pashto or Baloch language. The second study I want to mention here Abi Asnain Kidvari in 2004, they found that religious ascription does not appear to have a role to play in claiming of Urdu as mother tongue. So the data from Lucknow showed that among 120 respondents interviewed, the majority, so 99%, did not consider Urdu as the language of Muslims. But it turned out instead that in Karnataka, Islam was not identified with Urdu, but with Dakhni Urdu. So Dakhni Urdu as the status of a social dialect based on religion. And to sum up, even while the majority of respondents who claimed Urdu as their mother tongue were Muslims, they do not consider Urdu to be linked to their faith. So the study showed that the association of Urdu with Indian Muslims is a construction of non-Muslims. So now let's plunge into the heart of the topic of today, the lecture of today, Dakhni Urdu. So I decided to put here few lines of Sahid Miran Hasmi, who wrote Deccan Urdu in 1690. He's one of the famous Dakhni poet, and these lines really expressed the decline of Dakhni literature after the conquest of Aurangzeb. So Aurangzeb arrived in South Deccan in 1687 and conquered Golconda. And these lines and Deccan Urdu was composed after 3 years. And this period, the literary centers of the Deccan were, have been replaced by the capital of the Mughals. So I think that given the context, is the meaning is clear, and just a small consideration, linguistic consideration. You can see here this Apnich and Daknich. So each is really characteristics of Dakhni Urdu, as it corresponds to he in Hindi. So just to give emphasis. So the Dakhni language was introduced in the Deccan through the military exploits of Alauddin Khalji in the 14th century. In 1327, Muhammad bin Tughlaq moved the capital to the Deccan from Delhi to Daulatabad, today Aurangabad. And this resulted in the massive migration of the population of Delhi to the Deccan. But then only with Bahmani kingdoms, the establishment of Bahmani kingdom in 1347, Urdu took a new direction. And as a result, the Khani kings who had revolted against the emperor of Delhi wished to be independent and separate from the capital. So that's why they cultivated Urdu as opposed to Persian, that was the language of the court of the north. But only after the formation of Qutub Shahi, Adil Shahi kingdoms in Bijapur and Golconda, this southern speech was known as Dakhni. And from the 15th century, he has become a literary vehicle. So Kadam Rao Padam Rao is considered the first work in Dakhni language. But as I said before, after, with the arrival of the Mughals, everything changed, and Dakhni literature really stopped. The production in Dakhni language stopped. And in this period, also Dakhni poets and Vali, for example, very famous Indian poets, moved to the north for job opportunities. So from this time onwards, the Urdu and the variety of Urdu spoken in North India became the standard language in the south too. And Dakhni Urdu became just a spoken oral language. So we can divide the development of Dakhni in 3 periods. The first one is religious. In fact, we know that the first literary texts in Dakhni were religious in nature. I have to say that most of the texts of this period are lost, but there are we still have some texts. And these texts were written by Sufis, especially Sufis from the Chishti order. They tried, of course, to promote their ideas, their religion through using Dakhni language. Then we have this literary period in Bijapur under Adil Shahi court and Golconda under Qutub Shahi court, because Qutub Shahi really were great patrons of Dakhni literature, and Muhammad Qutub Shah, that if you remember, was the founder of Hyderabad, is also the 5th ruler of the dynasty. During his rule, Telugu was also part with Urdu, and also promoted Telugu Mushaira, but we will see later what Mushaira is. And it's also the same with in Bijapur with the Shahi court. So what is Dakhni Urdu and Hyderabadi Urdu? While collecting and reading all the literature and observing this material, I found many terms referring to these Dakhni Urdus, and sometimes Dakhni, Dakhini, Deccani, or Dakhani. What we know is that these terms comes from Dakshina, that is in Sanskrit, south. And we can maybe distinguish 2 dialects. So the North Dakhini, spoken in Hyderabad state, some parts of the Karnataka and Goa, and the South Dakhini, Andhra Pradesh, and other parts of Tamil Nadu and Kerala. There has been interest on Dakhni during the end of 19th, beginning of 20th century. But today we really have few scholars working on this language. Perhaps the first study on Dakhni, we have this text, a grammar of the Hindustan language, edited by James Valentine in 1868. So he wrote this grammar of the Hindustani language with notes of the Braj and Dakhni dialects. And then what I found really interesting, and I had at the beginning I had 3 slides about the studies on Dakhni, but I decided just to keep this one. But the work I want to mention here, and I found really interesting, is the work from Gerson, the Linguistic Survey of India. That was published in 1916. Basically, what I try to observe here is how Gerson categorized the languages. So you can see here Urdu, Rekna, Dakhni are presented as different languages, and also Dakhni, we have Dakhni Mumbai, Madras, Berar. But as we know also that Gerson's work had relied on untrained field workers, and also neglected the former provinces of Burma, Madras, Hyderabad, and Mysore. So South India has been underrepresented. Then, of course, here is really important to mention CAD Resources, so Hindustani Lisaniyat, is a brief account of Urdu development and Dakhni Urdu development and differences with standard Urdu. And of course, the work of Hussain Khan in 1954, who wrote an introduction to the history of Urdu language. And he formulated the first theory of historical linguistics, Basically, he proved that Urdu was born in and around Delhi and has been influenced by the 4 vernacular dialects that exerted their influence of on Urdu, and these languages somehow later reached the Deccan. The last thesis I want to mention of Matthews in 1976 about Dakhni language literature. So I found really interesting this work because, of course, the first part is just he deals with the history of Dakhni language. But then he also studies some linguistic traits of Dakhni, and he took into account some words. And at the end, he also summarizes the most phonological features of Dakhni. And at the end, you can also find a glossary of around 1,000 words that he found in the selected test. So maybe now we can move to the second part of the lecture today. So I will, in my project, I will explore how, if, and how digital resources enable the preservation of Dakhni Urdu and help in restoring collective memory of Deccan and also its language, its culture and heritage. So I will use blogs and personal websites, videos from YouTube, and some movies and documentaries, and also a few podcasts, but unfortunately we won't have, and we won't discuss podcast this time today. So this is the first sample I want to show you. This blog we find, so this is Sheikh Abdul's blog. So the writer is a Muslim and from Kerala. Of course, while dealing with digital resources, we have different, we can analyze different type of context. For example, in this case, we find recipes, photos of the old town, temples, mosques of the hometown of the writer. But also we have, from the linguistic perspective, this is very important is an example of preservation of linguistic heritage. We have a separate section for Dakhni, a separate section for Urdu, and he shares also memories of his past. I put here for the About Me section. I mean, you can find it in the homepage of this blog. He is a Muslim, is also very active and engaged in Muslims activities in Kerala. And as I said, if we remember the notion, the importance of media in restoring individual and collective memory, we may also ponder on how media shape our way of remembering and forgetting. And photos, I think, here are really interesting because we choose to put the photos of his family, his brother, mother, and father. So as I said, we find this website some idioms, Maza and Tandi Zaban, and as he writes, the coolest words never seen in any dictionary. So here, sorry for this is really, I wanted to report the original text as it's, in the blog. So, for example, here he explains some idioms, some phrases, some words of Dakhni, and you can see here, for example, kaiku, that is used instead of kyon in traditional Urdu, but also in Hindi. He explains the meaning. He also gives some examples in how the term is used within the sentence, the root, and the region. So we have kaiku for kyon, we have alka, we have hallu and we have nakko. So this is really, forgive me, is a really naive attempt. So if we start for the general assumption that Dakhni language has been influenced by Dravidian languages, so Telugu, Marathi, Kannada, for example. And even today, people claim that we can see such loans and similarities between languages. So here is really a preliminary study, and you can find the first column in Dakhni Urdu, second in Urdu, the third column Telugu language, and the last column the meaning. So as I said, I try to, in the first column, you can see the Dakhni terms. And sometimes I was not really sure about how to write them, because of course, as I said, Dakhni language was a literary language, but then with the Mughals, everything changed and the literary production stopped. And now Dakhni language is confined as to a spoken oral language. So I also asked some Hyderabad people from Hyderabad, and they know these words, they know how to use them, they use them in everyday life, but they don't really know how to write them. And also, maybe I forgot to tell you, but in this blog, we have, our blog is written in English, some parts in Malayalam, and some parts in Dakhni Urdu, but is transliterated. So we have kaiku, for example, for why, hallu hallu, alka, ho, or how instead of jinha. And in Telugu is completely different because we have aunu. And nakko, according to Matthews, this is a loan from Marathi. Then we have chillar instead of kanjus or sasta. To say cheap, and the only association I found is the kotmir, so coriander, dhania in Urdu and Hindi, and kotimira in Urdu language. But in Urdu we have also the Sanskrit for dhanialu. As I said, in these sources we have different type of content, and this is, I think, very important if we think again about the collective memory and individual memory. So in this case, the writer Sheikh Abdul shares his memory when he was a child, and his mother used to sing him a song, Chanda Mama Dorke. And after this introduction, it also the entire text is provided, and it also explains the song, and also all the terms of maybe that may appear difficult for non-Indians. So maybe I would just briefly read this passage. As I recall my own childhood and how sometimes my Baba and Amma would sing the song to me, it brings back memories of their efforts to make me drink my milk. Here is the song that was on every mom's lips, especially among the Dakhni families of South India for many decades to come. Yes, about that iconic children's song, Chanda Mama Dorke, Puye Pakaye Borke. This song here is probably the dearest of such jingles, sung to please the children if they are unhappy or upset, especially when being told to drink their milk by their mother. Over the years, this song has become a perennial favorite to sing to the children for all its simplicity and its melody and its message of gift and good things to eat, in an effort to bring a smile to the lips of a child that is upset over something. Wait, that I have this. In fact, this song is loosely based on time-worn jingles and worshipful toddlers that abound the folk music in rural India. So, all right. So then maybe we can move to this third part, so about Dakhni performances. So what kind of presence of Dakhni language we can find in online today? As I said, one of my, I will observe how Dakhni language is preserved online through videos and YouTube channels. What you have, we won't have the time to see this in details today, but Dakhni language is really connected to humor, and there were some really famous poets that wrote in Dakhni for satire, such as Danda. And today, unfortunately, we don't have examples. We don't find misanas anymore. So these singers popular for their humorous songs during weddings. But we still have Mushairas, so these annual poetry sessions organized by Zinda Hyderabad. So this peculiar aspect of Dakhni production, so this humorous tone, is what still has been preserved online. In Hyderabad in 1966 was held this All India Humorous Conference, and 2 years after Shagufa magazine was founded by Saeed Mustafa Kemal, and this is still publishing every month. And I put a cover on the left so you can see just how it looks like. So I know that Mushaira is still happening. Maybe, of course, during the pandemic time, they stopped, of course. Zinda, what I want just briefly to mention is Zinda Dilana Hyderabad. So as I said, there are many famous writers who wrote in Dakhni language, such as Danda, Kamaka, that became really famous after after a video of one of his performance called Nai Boleto Sunte got viral, so he became really famous after that. Mujtaba Hussain, Muqtaza, and also Suleiman Khatib. So this was basically a collective luminaries from the field of Urdu literature in the 60s. So what about Mushaira? So Mushaira has Persian origins and emerged in India between 11th and 15th century. And at the beginning, we could say that it emerged when Persian or Turkish culture came along with the invaders and was assimilated by various elements of indigenous culture and literary tradition. So some scholars argue that the notion of Mushaira was already with Amir Khusro, but there is no evidence supporting this thesis. At the beginning, these Mushaira were held in the private houses, and was really the admission was really democratic. So basically all poets or people interested in poetry could participate in Mushairas. But then with the time, it became more elitarian, so became more and more regulated with peculiar rules, forms, etiquette rules. If you attend a Mushaira today, you still notice, you still see Nazim Sadar, this chairman of the event, that is very important, has some specific duties. So, for example, he introduces each speaker, reacts on listeners' emotions, and avoids any respect to any of the poets. Traditionally, young, less-known poets recite first, the master and the ustads at the end. Also, in the original form of Mushaira, there was this tar, so this poetic line mentioned as a model. So according to which all invitees were requested to compose their lyrics, but then it just after 19th century just became free Mushairas. We have some works on Mushairas, and I recently read an article that the scholar was saying basically that now, of course, the quality of the works during Mushaira is they are as less interesting, and also, of course, there is a lot of business around this organization of Mushairas. And they, of course, are not held anymore in private houses, more in stadiums or very big hotels. So here I just put really a nice passage. This is really one of my I really like this author, Narendra Luther, who is a Hyderabad-based writer and columnist. Unfortunately, he died last year. He also he was really active in Hyderabad city. He wrote a book on the founder of Hyderabad, Muhammad Quli Qutub Shah. And he also founded a non-profit organization for rocks lovers, which is very active in Hyderabad. They organize regularly walks for walking tours for rocks, and they explain the history of these rocks. And it's if you have time, I recommend it because it's really nice. So this is just a passage. He tried with this very short story, he tried to dispel this notion that Dakhni is confined to the lower middle class. Because, as I said, when Urdu became the official language, Dakhni was just became just an oral spoken language, and somehow it was associated with the lower middle class. So this is passage just to show that the Dakhni Urdu is spoken by everyone in the city. So there is this, just to sum up this story, there is this young boy that said how instead of yes, instead of jiha. And the noble said to this young boy that this it's very vulgar, this howl, and he should say jiha. And at the end, also the noble said how. So just as I said before, just to show that this dialect or language is really spoken by everyone. So one of my sources, you may remember, are YouTube's videos. I selected 3 very popular and active YouTube channels: the Begum Vice, Warangal Diaries, Hyderabad Diaries. So all these channels, they have in common 3 points. So that they use everyday life situation and language. All the jokes have humorous tone, in Dakhni, of course, and the target is the young people. So here, sorry, I just realized now it is in Italian, but just to show you how, this Vegan Vines, is a group of 3 young comedians. They started in Facebook, but then they in 2015, but they moved to not to Hyderabad, but they moved to YouTube just to reach more audience. It was more practical. So all the jokes have Dakhni flavors, and they have this channel has a strong connection with diaspora. So Hyderabadis that, especially Hyderabadis that live in West Asian countries, US, Canada, and Europe, and also they have this special they have the special connection with engineering students in their dreams that they are destroyed year after year. Then we have Varangal Diaries. This channel has 1 million of subscribers. So this is a group of Hyderabadi men. It's active from 2015. So they really make jokes and make videos about Hyderabadi weddings, everyday life situations, like electricians that come home, come to your house, mobile store scenes. They made this video about lockdown. All right. Then I didn't put the slide here, but this is also the last one. Maybe it's the more active YouTube channel. That is the Hyderabad Diaries. Has 2 million of subscribers, and it's also, I think, really interesting because it's completely another format. It means that there is this young boy, and then all the family of this boy is involved in making the videos. So basically, it's really a familiar situation. They speak in Dakhni language, and for example, they make these videos about the talks during the day on the sofa with the mother, the sister, and the father also. And this channel was created in 2014. So now maybe we can move to our last, maybe not last, topic. So Dakhni cinema and Dakhni industry. Well, we should say that's not really an industry because it's really too small to call it industry. And also you may find the same cast and the same actors performing, but we can still say that it's this tendency is growing. So what is Deccan? What is Dakhni cinema, or better, what does it refer to? So Hyderabad is Dakhni cinema, Deccan Urdu, when Hyderabad is the location of the movie. And the Hyderabad is not the city is not passive background, is really fundamental for the narrative of the work. And then Dakhni films are made in Dakhni version of Urdu, Hyderabadi Urdu. As you may remember, this interaction between the old and new city, because yes, if you remember, we said that Hyderabad went through this really transformation, renovation period during the 90s. So in these movies, you can see this conflict, this opposition between the old and new city. Then Dakhni cinema also expresses this Deccan language and identity. And of course, it's important to say that this is a production outside Bollywood and Telugu production, because we have to remember that the city of Hyderabad in Telugu cinema was not represented until 1970s. So only after the shift of the Telugu film industry from Chennai to Hyderabad. So now I put here 3 movies. So the first, we could say that really this tendency is Dakhni film industry, or Dakhni cinema, at its first release in 2005 with Angres. Then we have in 2007 Hyderabadi Bakra, and Hyderabadi Nawabs in 2006, and had this sequel in 2019. So all these movies make reference to real locations within the city, food habits, local idioms, and as I said, there is this interaction and conflict between the old and the new city, but always through humor and satire. I think that also very recently, last year, was produced one of these movies, in Hyderabadi Urdu, called Bolo Hau. and it is also love story with also gangs involved and fights in the old city of Hyderabad. I think it's really important to mention this work. Tangan Tides, the story of Dakhni, realized in 2017 by Gautam Premaraju, and I really recommend it to watch because this summarizes the history of Dakhni language, and also this film director did a lot of interviews of Dakhni poets, journalists that really cared and were there during the development and also the decline of Dakhni language. And I think it was a precious source before, but after the pandemic, almost all the poets that performed in Dakhni, in Mushairas, died. I think now it's really important source for the study, and also to understand the perception of Dakhni in Hyderabad city in general, in Telangana. What I want to, so I will look at online digital resources and tools, but I will also look at the promotion of Dakhni language and culture and local association organizations that are working and are actively engaged in the preservation of this heritage. So I think it's very important to mention the Siyasat Daily, that is a journal that was founded for the sake of promoting Urdu language in Hyderabad, founded in 1989, if I'm not wrong, and also the News Minute. And then we have this Hyderabad History Project, that they also have a blog and a Facebook group, The City and the City. Is a collective of journalists that collected much material of in Deccan, about Deccan region and culture, and they have really collected many pictures about all towns in all Deccan. Then we have Kidki Collective Dakhni Association, that is also they organize also a festival. Which is something different from Drekta. They also organize a festival, but in Delhi. And then we have this Foundation for Art and Culture Education. So Dakhni Association, the idea is to celebrate a dialect that became the voice of writers, poets, and common folk. They are active in Facebook, and they recently organized this workshop, Risala, in May. About in Urdu poetry. Then we have the Kidki Collective, this group of scholars that were really working on the cultural awareness about the Deccan. They're working on regional identities, the history of belonging, and they're also very active, but in Twitter. And in May, they organized this series of conferences all about Deccan. And if I'm not wrong, there is also this scholar from California University, Chicago University, who is working on the Sufi test, Chisti orders text. In the first period of development of Dakhni language. They recently published some articles about Deccan and Dakhni identity, and I put here some screenshots of the titles of the articles just to give you an idea of what what they are interested in. So, for example, this series of articles is called Deccan series, and for example, here, who does the Deccan belong to? And we have also this an article about the origins of a Hyderabad community, about the Dakhni language, and also medieval Deccan and Chand Bibi. And then the last association, a non-profit organization, is really new. I think it was founded last year, is Hyderabad based. And also last year they organized these lectures about really different topics: Dakhni cuisine, the influence of Dakhni language, and the culture of Hyderabad. And the founder of this foundation is the same film director who produced the documentary on Dakhni language, so Gautam Premaraju. And I think that's all from me, as I wanted to share with you today. So thank you for listening. And again, I'm really at the beginning of the project. So if you have any remarks, doubts, questions now, please raise your hand or just write me. Here's my official email. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maria. And if there are any questions, maybe you should stop sharing. Yeah. If there are any questions, please raise your hand so that I can unmute you.
Okay, somebody in the chat.
Okay, I think I'll ask a question,
Yeah,
if I may.
Sure.
Yeah, I was wondering when Maria, you said in Deccan you shared data collected from 120 persons, and 99% said that Dakhni has nothing to do with religion. Religion and language are two different things. So I was wondering whether Dakhni is also spoken by non-Muslims, and if so, which script they use to write it, whether they use Arabic script or Devanagari or the local scripts.
So this is the study of Abbi Asnain Kidwari in 2014. Basically, no, they said that even if the majority of respondents, so the 99%, said that their mother tongue was Urdu, so they used Nasali script, but they did not consider Urdu connected to their religion. So basically, they just wanted this course, just wanted to show that this association has its origins maybe during the British rule, but also with the nationalist Pakistani nationalist movements also use Urdu. But so they said basically our mother tongue is Urdu, but is not really connected to our religion. And I think it's very interesting what they found out in Karnataka, that Islam was not associated with Urdu, but the respondents said that Dakhni Urdu was associated with Islam. So there was this association, and I think this result. But I have to say that they just interviewed Muslims and Hindus in some regions of India. For example, they did not take into account Telangana or Andhra Pradesh, for example.
Yeah, my second question is that in the Dakhni film industry, what is the difference between, are these films in Dakhni dialect, or these are in Urdu or Hindi, like the Bombay film industry or the other films? Or the language is different?
Yeah, that's why I said it's very small, and basically the problem is that we cannot say that this is an industry because it's very small. And I don't know if you have noticed, but if you look at the posters of the movies, they are basically the same actors. But to reply to your question, yes, they use really expressions and idioms from Hyderabadi Urdu. That was really nice and interesting, I would say.
Professor Khan, if you remember Bombay to Goa, you have
Yeah.
Mahmood's character. It's a very old movie, so I wouldn't
Yeah.
seen it, but You have Mahmood's character, which exclusively spoke in Dakhni Hyderabadi Urdu. So, also some of the more modern films. There's this film on rap that's been made with Deepika Padukone's husband. I don't remember his name ever because I don't. But he, for example, composes a lot. A lot of the songs he sung are in
Uh-huh.
Hyderabadi Urdu. So, with a lot of Dakhani influence, very strong Dakhani influence.
But I want to add that because I was reading this literature about the crucial period when Telangana was seeking for independence, and basically Hyderabadis and Telanganis were saying that the main reason, one of the reasons why they wanted independence was that Hyderabadi people from Hyderabad, from Telangana in Telugu movies were depicted really in a bad way. Most of the times they were really rude and they belonged to the lower class. And so I found also this fact really funny. I mean, it was really used during the Telangana by Telangana activists really as a reason just to ask independence, and finally they wanted to have their own expression. I mean, they decide how to, to describe and express their Dekhni identity, not through Telugu medium and Telugu film industry.
Just last one comment only. Thanks for telling us about the origin of the name of Hyderabad, because I had read somewhere that Hyderabad was named after Ali, Hazrat Ali, the cousin and son-in-law of Prophet Muhammad, because the majority of rulers of Deccan were Shia Muslims. So they named it after, because Ali is also called Sher Haidar, or Haidar means lion. So, but thanks a lot for correcting me. Thank you
I think
very much.
there are many theories about the name of Hyderabad. I think it's for those who love stories and romance. I think because in some legends this Hindu woman was just a dancer. So there was this a story that the king fell in love with this dancer, and he went every night to see and meet this dancer. But in some maybe more official sources, she became his wife. So
okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, I would like to request Professor Stefania Cavaliere to say a few words. Stefania, if you're there, hi. You're muted, yeah? You have to unmute.
Can you hear me?
Now we hear you fine.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone, and I'm very happy to listening to this conference of Maria. I've been knowing Maria since a few years because she was, as you mentioned at the beginning, she studied at L'Orientale, and we know her for having many different interests. So she has a deep competence, deep skill. An expertise now on Indian culture, history, and languages also. And I'm very happy that she started this new project. She started studying also Telugu a few years ago, and I'm very happy to see how she's continuing her project with this fascinating topic, which I hope we will keep following. It's very important because we are always very active in our center of studies with on different topics, and I'm very happy that we are talking about Urdu Dakhni. It was one of the few chances this year, but I hope we will have. But I would like also to thank Professor Badalkan for introducing the lecture. So I hope we will have many more chances to discuss this topic in the future and to have Maria again. So thank you very much on my behalf and also on the Center of Studies.
Thank you so much, Stefania, and thank you, Maria, for what was a very
Thank you
interesting
too.
lecture. Giusto per tutti di Napoli, abbiamo l'ultima conferenza dopodomani di Manu Pillai. Continuiamo con la nostra serie del Deccan sul suo libro Rebel Sultans From Khilji to Shivaji. Metteremo la locandina online oggi, quindi questo sarà, diciamo, l'ultima conferenza di questa serie di conferenze. Stefania?
Sì, per gli studenti e le studentesse vorrei dire che poi prima, lo dico adesso in un minuto, prima dell'appello di registrazione delle la Moodle, come facciamo sempre, vi manderemo una mail, come diceva prima Vas, quindi vi preghiamo di seguire, vi daremo dopo l'ultima conferenza indicazione su quando svolgere questo test, e il superamento del test poi consente appunto l'iscrizione all'appello di registrazione dei crediti come altre attività che dovrete fare voi in base al vostro corso di studi. Ciascuno di voi in base al corso di studi deve andare a verificare sulla bacheca del referente delle altre attività, quindi per AF è il professor Antonio Manieri e per CP la professoressa Bianca del Villano, credo. Poi vi daremo tutte le indicazioni precise, quindi vedete voi, vi registrate poi voi dopo, ma ci sarà bisogno del test per il quale vi daremo indicazione via mail.
Perfetto, grazie mille a tutti e a presto. Grazie, ciao, arrivederci. Ciao.
Arrivederci a tutti.
Grazie Maria.
Grazie a voi.
Arrivederci.